$20,000. That's how much a seller lost in a recent transaction we were working with. Let me be clear what happened here. We were working for the buyer. So the seller's not our client. We're working for the buyer, and we put an offer in, and the way we word the offer, it's very much leaning very much towards protecting our client, protecting the buyer. So when it comes to rental items, for example, could be hot water tank, could be alarm system, could be furnace, whatever's rental item in the house. In this particular offer, like we do with most offers, we'll put it that there are no rental items that my buyer client is assuming or taken over. Furthermore, they're included in the purchase price, and I go one step further to say that there are no liens on those items, that they are free and clear, they're owned by the seller, and they're able to give it to us as included in the purchase price. So we put the offer together, we give it to the listing agent, and now it really is up to the seller and the listing agent to read the offer and change what they don't accept. Now, everybody knows, oh, change the price, we're going to counter offer this, and everybody knows, oh, different closing date, but like, if you don't pay attention to the fine details, to the minutia, it could cost a lot. I know sellers, and in this case, the sellers assumed that whatever was rental, and they had everything in rental, whatever was rental items was going to be taken over by my buyer clients. When I say rental, it's, you know, there's lots of things that could be rental in homes. Most people are familiar with the hot water tank is a rental. It's 50-50 whether homes either own their hot water tank or it's rental. But furnace can also be rental, AC can be rental, water softener, there's all sorts of things. Well, this particular home had everything. And it was the kind of rental agreements from the door knocking people. So terrible, terrible rental contracts, and the buyout is huge on these things. Well, my clients were taking this over, and it was very clear in the accepted agreement we weren't taking it, and the seller accepted the agreement. So, you know, what are we to do? That's the way it was. Well, I get a call a couple of weeks before closing from the listing agent telling me, oh, by the way, let your lawyer know that these items need to be put in the buyer's name to take over the rental agreement. Well, we weren't going to do that, and to make a long story short, it was worded in such a way where the selling side, the sellers, had no way to maneuver out of it. They were forced to close on time, otherwise they'd be in breach, which opens up a whole other can of worms. They had to spend out of their own pocket, go into their bank account, and spend $20,000 to buy out the equipment in that home and leave it there for my client's enjoyment. And these are silly, silly mistakes that cost sellers real hard money. This is very different than, oh, you know, maybe we could have negotiated a little bit more on price. You never really know the true answer to that, if you could have got $5,000 more or $5,000 less. But in this situation, we know the seller in this example had to spend $20,000 out of their pocket in order to close the deal, just because either the listing agent didn't read the offer properly or didn't properly explain it to the sellers, or the sellers just assumed that this would happen and it wasn't in the agreement. We put clauses, and we protect our buyer clients. We put clauses in there I would never ever accept if I was on the other side. If I was the listing side receiving an offer like this, I'd be scratching these clauses out and saying, no way, this is unacceptable, unacceptable. But that's because I read it. It blows me away how many times we'll put a clause that I would never accept, and the other side just goes right past it and accepts it. So be careful. These mistakes can cost you money. If you want to talk anything at all about real estate, in the description below, there's a link to my calendar. Book a time that's convenient for you. I'll know ahead of time this way when you want to chat, and We'll talk about whatever's on your mind, real estate related, of course, and let's get into the numbers. Folks, here are your latest numbers, home prices insights for the City of Toronto for a week ending October 13th. Now you're going to see across the board a dip in sales, and in some areas a substantial dip. Let me know in the comments below if you think this is because of the Thanksgiving long weekend, or that's it. The party's over and the uprise we had for the fall in sales is now coming down to a screeching halt quickly. You let me know in the comments below what you think. Here we go. We have the City of Toronto, detached properties only for week ending October 13th. Here we go. Dip in sales. Previous week we sold 257. We were up there 250, 260, and now 188 for last week. 40 of those sold at $2 million or more, and the average sold price came down just barely, just $4,000 to $1,690,000. So we're almost at 1.7, and when we kind of look back, 1.7 seems to be the middle of the road here. So it seems to be about the yearly average thereabouts. I mean, I don't have it calculated, but just looking at the line, you can kind of see 1.7 is about the average sold price. And that's 15% higher than where we were last year at this time. Now, of the 188 that was sold, which is clearly much lower than what it was last year at this time, the blue is last year for the same week. But of the 188 that sold, 68% sold at list price or more. So that's down also as far as percentage from what it's been over the last 4 weeks. And we listed only 313. So sales are down. Listings are down, and listings have been coming down over the last 4 or 5 weeks. The most important number here, though, listings, very important. It obviously affects the whole market. Active listings is the real number to pay attention to, because of these listings, some will sell right away and some won't. But there's also properties left over that never sold from the previous weeks of being on the market. So active listings will tell me how many properties are actually available for sale. Active listings, the amount that we're buying, is the relationship between supply and demand. Months of inventory climbed up a little bit to 1.1, and days on market now are sitting at 12, and they have been at 12 for about a month now. Let's look at Toronto now, broken down in Central, East, and West. And you can see the sales here. Now, Central is the lion's share of the luxury market. So you'll see big waves here of prices going up and down on an average on a weekly basis. 2.455 million is the average sold price in Central Toronto for a detached. We've got the orange line here is the West at 1.45 million, and the East 1.4 million basically is the average sold price there. If we look at those a little bit closer, we have here West Toronto, days on market is 10, sold at list price or more, 72%, and that puts us at 12% higher than last year's average sold price. Now there are 3 different worlds between West Toronto, although West and East many times are a little bit similar. Central is completely different marketplace, but even so, East and West, you'll find in the East far more competitive, far more aggressive. Average sold price is normally lower, but more competitive, more aggressive. And if you look at average sold price in general here for the West, it seems quite steady over the last 3 or 4 months that I have on the board here. So here's Central. Because of the extreme luxury properties that are found in Central Toronto, you'll see the weekly changes in the big waves. We sold only 48 properties last week. It's down from 78 the previous week. 19 is the average days on market. Sold at list price or more is 46%. So less than half. There's a lot more room to negotiate, and we're sitting at 11% higher than last year's average sold price. 2.2 is the months of inventory. Now here's the East. Months of inventory is 0.7. Completely different world from the central. Days on market is 9. So the list price or more is 78%. Extremely competitive. Taking a closer look at semis, we sold 78 semis. Average sold price is sitting at $1,282,000, and average sold price looks like it's been coming down for a while, but now for the last few weeks it's heading up. But you know, let's see what happens here now. Months of inventory is sitting at 0.6. Very competitive market. Townhouses, we sold only 29. Sales are down from the previous week. The average townhouse, the average sold price is $1,306,000, and you know, we sold 3 at $1.5 million or more. The previous week 17, which obviously shot the average sold price way up there. And months of inventory for townhouses sitting at 0.8. We are 9% higher as far as townhouses go, 9% higher than the previous year's average sold price. Let's look at condos. Sales are down. We sold 315 condos last week. 27 of those were at $1 million or more. Condo prices on average over the last few weeks have been coming down. It's now sitting at $709,000 for the average condo in the city of Toronto, and average sold price has been slightly going up over the last few months, but for the last 4 weeks it's coming down little by little each week. That puts us at 3% higher than the previous year's average sold price. Sales are higher than what they were last year. Now remember, last year at this time it was stay away from condos. Condos have kind of come back again. So we're buying more condos than what were purchased last year. And of the 315 that were sold, 52% sold at list price or more. Listings have come down. We listed 632, and months of inventory is sitting at 1.7 with an average of 18 days on market. Here's an interesting slide. Here's the days on market for all the different areas in the home types. The arrow tells you the direction, is months of inventory up or down from the previous week. Across the board, months of inventory is up. It's still very much a seller's market, still very low, but it's interesting now, months of inventory for every group here has gone up. It's something to look out for. We'll keep an eye on that. My name is Santo Sessa. Have a great day.